welcome to my channel. So today we are going to be doing a vlog where I'll be reading 7 thrillers over the course of 7 days. There's some definitely like huge wins in this. There's a few that were kind of mediocre, but overall, like, I'm really impressed with all of the books I read. And if you're interested, please stay tuned. So I finished the first book for this video, the guest list, today. I really enjoyed this. This was just like such a like classic thriller of like just very suspenseful, really curious to see what happened. It was just like very, very entertaining. And when I'm reading thrillers, that's exactly what I'm going for all of the time. Like, I don't necessarily need something that's like crazy plot twist, crazy, like groundbreaking, whatever. I just want something that's fun, that's like a bit of a mind break, and something that I can really like just use as a distraction. So this worked perfectly for that. We're essentially following the wedding of this like rich, famous pair. And while we're at the wedding, we have a flash forward to the day of the wedding where it says that somebody dies, but we don't know who. And then it flashes back to the day before and it leads up to it. And we're just following the guests, who are like deeply unlikable, all of them, and just kind of like all of their possible motives of who they could have killed and like who might have been the killer, all of that kind of stuff. And I really liked it. I wasn't like crazy invested. I didn't really care that much who died, because I didn't really like anybody that much. I didn't really care that much about their motivation or anything. It was just pure entertainment, which great. Like, I am so fine with that. This is the second book I've read by Lucy Foley where exact same thing, just pure fun vibes, like not really there for the plot, just kind of like there for the entertainment factor. It's going to be a good time, and then afterwards, like, you're not going to think about it again because it's nothing that exciting, and I am so fine with that. Okay, so last night I finished reading Jackal, and I am so incredibly disappointed in this one. I would say like the first half of this book was a solid 5-star for me, and I really anticipated that this is what the entire book was going to end up being. But about halfway through, it just like went a direction I did not like. It derailed. It just like really got uninteresting. In this book, we are following this woman, Liz, who comes back to the small town she grew up in for her best friend's wedding, and while there, her goddaughter is abducted or disappears in the woods. And from there we realize that this town has this history of young Black girls every June disappearing, and then the media really doesn't give attention to this disappearance. So nobody's really put it together, the fact that every single June somebody disappears. So our main character, Liz, decides to start investigating and figure out what's going on. And then that first part where she's trying to figure it out, she's like really getting into this mystery and learning about all these girls who've disappeared, that was incredible, and easily could have been a 5-star read if the book had kind of like continued on that path for me. But yeah, halfway through it went more in a horror / possibly supernatural kind of vibe, and I just really could not follow that. I couldn't get into it. It just kind of like completely went off tracks from what I was enjoying about the book. So unfortunately this one ended up only being about a 3-star for me, but like, yeah, so much of it was really interesting. All right, so next book is done, which is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. So in this one, we're essentially following a family who is brought back to their grandmother's home for her 80th birthday, and it's like the first time this extremely dysfunctional family has all gathered together in years, and you can just kind of tell off the bat like something's weird. There's some kind of weird family dynamic that's really not clicking well for them, and it's a super isolated island that they're on as well, that is really like cut off from the outside world, and there's a crazy storm going on at the same time, so nobody's able to leave this island. And things really get crazy after they have their grandmother's birthday dinner, and then in the middle of the night one of the family members wakes up to their grandmother dead, and from there things just get insane and family members just start dropping off, and there's this whole mystery of who is killing everybody. Is it accidental deaths? Is somebody dying? Is what's going on? What's the motive? Who's doing it? So this one, I enjoyed it. I didn't find it spectacular though. I found certain parts of it ended up being fairly predictable. Like, I did predict one of the main twists, which that in itself, it's always not necessarily like something against the book. Like, if I can predict what's gonna happen, I don't really get upset about that sometimes, because sometimes the predictable ending is the enjoyable one, or it's just like the more satisfying thing. But I did predict part of it. Did not see coming at all. It was so out of left field for me, and not the type of book that I expected this to be at all. So that was crazy. But overall, I didn't find it that exciting or interesting. It was very like, the suspense didn't feel that gripping. I didn't feel super torn or super pulled or invested. I didn't feel very invested in what was happening. And pretty much all of the characters were extremely unlikable, which I think kind of added to of like, okay, like, so why is this happening? Why do we care that they're dying? Overall, I think it was a pretty solid 3-star read. It was definitely enjoyable. It just wasn't really anything else aside from that. It was just very like an okay mystery, I guess. This is the second Alice Feeney book I've read as well, and I feel like I have the exact same feeling I had towards her last book, like the last book of hers that I read, which is very much like, it was okay, it was kind of fun, but it also wasn't really anything that great. So I don't think she's necessarily like an author for me, but I think if I want like one of those very, very easy kind of mystery types of books, she works for that. Well, now officially done, I think book four at this point, and it is All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. So in this one, we're following a mother whose son was abducted a year before, and now she spent the last year like obsessing over what could have happened and how her child could have disappeared, because he was a 1-year-old baby who appears to have just been taken out of his crib throughout the night. So she's been obsessing for the past year over who could have possibly taken him, or like what could have happened, because there's so many mysteries of what could have gone on. I found this one to be fairly predictable. It wasn't that exciting. There wasn't really that many crazy twists or like interesting things happening. Despite all of that, I still actually really enjoyed it. It just felt like a very, very good investigation, I guess. There are certain aspects. There was like a podcaster who becomes involved in the investigation and helps figure out what could have happened. There's a bunch of mystery about her ex-husband and this entire mystery of our main character's childhood as well, about a sister who died and we really had no idea what happened. And a lot of that was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I think that it was like a pretty solid, enjoyable thriller. Again, like nothing crazy, no crazy twists or turns, but just like a fun time. Hey, so another day, another excellent thriller done. So in this one, we are following this woman, Harriet, who's marrying into this like crazy billionaire, incredibly famous and prestigious family. As part of, you could almost say like an initiation into the family, her father-in-law gives her this cassette player that he says is like, he presents it as, oh, I've been thinking of a novel, because she's a writer. And like, I've been thinking of a novel, I've been workshopping some ideas, so I'm gonna give this to you to kind of like, see what you think. And then this cassette that we get, it is essentially like a confession to a decades-old murder. And from there, Harriet is kind of being tested to see what she's gonna do with it. Is she going to go to the police? Is she going to protect the family secrets? So it's like, are you willing to put everything aside to be part of the family? And then also this family is like crazy complex, and they have these like insane holiday and family traditions where like they just do these insane family games, and it is bonkers. It is absolutely nuts, and the family drama and like dynamics are ridiculous. I really loved it. It was just like a very, very fun mystery to unravel. And all of the family dynamics and all of the stuff that you were learning about the family was just so interesting and so much fun. And I really enjoyed every part of it. I did kind of see the ending coming, but I didn't see the way that we were going to get there. And like a lot of just like the family drama that was unraveled, did not expect at all. And yeah, I really loved it. I definitely would recommend this one. I think actually like out of everything I've read this week so far, I think that this one is my favorite, just because I found it so fun. And like, I think I'm just somebody who really likes books that are like rich people drama or rich people problems. Just like that, peering into the veil and seeing what kind of crazy shit happens. Anything to do with like rich people drama, always I'm gonna love. So this was just so good. Yeah, and I just have to say, like, I'm very impressed with the quality of the books that I've been reading so far this week. I think a lot of them have been books that I've been hearing quite a bit about, so they're definitely more of like the hyped up ones, the ones that like a lot of people recommend. So that definitely is adding to, I think, why I like them, because they're actually good books. But I am definitely feeling like it's been 5 days, I've read 5 thrillers, and I'm starting to feel slightly burnt out by them, and that like I'm just very ready for this to be done, I think, and to move on to something else. Because I'm just kind of like, I'm definitely craving more of a fantasy book right now. So I'm just going to try and power through the last 2 over this weekend. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to being done with this though. Okay, let's talk about What Lies in the Woods. So we're following this girl who, when she was, I believe 11, she and two of her friends were in the woods and got attacked by a serial killer, and she had been stabbed like 17 times, and she and her friends somehow managed to escape. We are following her 20 years later. The killer just died in prison, and she goes back home to like reunite with the two girls just to kind of put it behind them, close that chapter of their lives, I guess. And then from here, it just like all these secrets from that time come to light, all of these things that they never actually disclosed to the police about this attack, and all of this like other information comes where you're kind of questioning, was it actually this guy who attacked them? Because it was only basically their eyewitness testimony that put him behind bars. And they, our main character, is kind of realizing like maybe she doesn't quite remember things as she's been told happened. So most of the story is just like that kind of thing where she's just like trying to figure out exactly what happened, because it does seem like there's a lot more to what happened than just this like story of they were attacked and they managed to get away. This was like pretty mid-bar for me. It was fine. There was nothing really wrong with it. It just like nothing captivated me. I didn't really care that much about the mystery. I found by the end I was just like very ready to be over, because I just wasn't really caring that much what the actual mystery was, I guess. So yeah, it was like a very mid-level thriller, and it wasn't spectacular, I guess. And yeah, like I don't really know what didn't work for me in this one. It just wasn't really the best. And I feel like in comparison, I'm kind of really realizing like this week, the thrillers that I've read that I've really loved, this doesn't quite compare to what I have been enjoying quite as much. So yeah, this is just like a very mid-level kind of thing. And incredibly excited, only one more book to read. So the plan is to do The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James, which I feel like maybe is not fully thriller, because I believe there is a bit of a paranormal aspect in that one, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. And here we are with the last book for the vlog read, which was The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. So in this one, we're following a dual timeline story taking place at this rundown motel, where in 1982, there's this woman, Viv, who becomes one of the night shift people at this motel, and she just notices that like there's all this weird shit going on, and there's also in the town that she lives in all of these girls recently who have been missing or found murdered, and she starts to investigate it. And then the next timeline is 30 years later, her niece decides to come to town to investigate the fact that Viv disappeared 30 years earlier with absolutely no information about what happened, and she decides to come into town and investigate to see if she can figure it out. The mystery itself wasn't that interesting, but this one was kind of weird because it did have like the motel was haunted, and there was this like huge story of like all of the ghosts of the serial killer from all the missing girls who were just like haunting this motel and really kind of like causing chaos and like just kind of this incredibly creepy vibe to it. So I thought this one was pretty good. It was just like pretty okay. It's kind of like I have nothing to say about it, I guess. Like it was pretty, again, like pretty mid-level, nothing too incredible, nothing that exciting, and like I really don't know what else to say about it, I guess, because like it was fine. It was fine. It was okay. I don't have anything else that crazy to say. And yeah, this week was definitely a lot. 7 thrillers is maybe a bit too much for me to read at once, because I kind of did, towards the end, I very much lost interest in kind of keeping going. Like I really felt like I needed something else. One a day was definitely not for me, especially when I don't read this many thrillers. It was kind of a bit too much. But yeah, so yeah, that's it for this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, welcome to my channel. So today we are going to be doing a vlog where I'll be reading 7 thrillers over the course of 7 days. There's some definitely like huge wins in this. There's a few that were kind of mediocre, but overall, like I'm really impressed with all of the books I read. And if you're interested, please stay tuned.